Baruch Hashem. So my video cut off again, so there's actually going to be 5 parts to this video. I am sorry about that, but it must be really important to someone out there to hear this, because typically if something is this big of a challenge to get out there, it's much needed by maybe one single soul out there. So Baruch Hashem. I'm going to give up. I'm going to continue on. So we had left off with that last verse. Examine yourselves to see whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves. Or do you not realize this about yourselves? That Yeshua Messiah is in you. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Yeshua's so-called Last Supper was indeed a Pesach Seder. We find this element of washing in the apostolic account. Yeshua, took it to another level, perhaps leading back to the Torah and the laver, in that before he was to accomplish his offering, he initiated officially his priests, so to speak, his disciples, as it were, for their service, which they would have to thereafter perform on their own, without him walking them through it step by step. As the Kohanim were brought to Moshe and anointed and immersed by him for service, Yeshua went to his men, stripping his garments, any adornment at all, just like the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, who would humble himself to accomplish atonement for all the sins of all the people, wearing only the humble white tunic and other simple white linen articles. Unlike the Gentile Pilate, who washed his hands in order to remove himself from the culpability of the condemnation of Yeshua. Yeshua washed, and we wash when we do for Pesach, or for in the morning, or when we do on Shabbat, for the completely opposite reason. Instead of being remote from what is about to take place after the washing, we are desiring to completely connect in the deepest possible ways to what is about to take place after the washing. Thus, through it, we set the action apart as holy. And I'm going to read this section to us from John 13:3, starting with verse 3. Yeshua, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come forth from God, and that he was going back to God, got up from supper, and laid aside his garments, and taking a towel, he girded himself. Then he poured water into the basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. So he came to Simon Peter, and he said to him, Lord, do you wash my feet? Yeshua answered and said to him, What I do, you do not realize now, but you will understand hereafter. Peter said to him, Never shall you wash my feet. Yeshua answered him, If I do not wash you, you have no part with me. Simon Peter said to him, Lord, then wash not only my feet, but also my hands and my head, which are the 3 elements that were immersed and anointed for temple service. Yeshua said to him, He who has bathed needs only to immerse his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you. For he knew the one who was betraying him. For this reason he said, Not all of you are clean. And that would be another reference to the temple service and being ceremonially clean. The one who has immersed, it's not a bath, it's a mikvah, an immersion to be able to approach for a holy service. And we do this washing before one of the dipping elements of the Seder, which in one of the other synoptic accounts, we find Judas, the betrayer of Yeshua, he was indicating that he was his betrayer at that point by the dipping that he would do after him. Going on with verse 12, So when he had washed their feet and taken his garments and reclined at the table again, he said to them, Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, the Lord and the teacher, washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I gave you an example that you should also do as I did. Truly, truly, I say to you, a slave is not greater than his master, nor is the one who is sent greater than the one who sent him. If you knew these things, You are blessed if you do them. And there is a tradition also at the Siddur, which ties right into what he said, at least with the pouring of the wine, that no one is to pour their own wine, that everybody is to pour for somebody else in a way of serving one another. So that's the end of that part before the next section. And I did want to just take this opportunity to say that I apologize. There are many typos in this entry. And someday, God willing, I'll go back and fix all the typos. But you'll probably see more because my autocorrect always changes Pesach to peach. And there's other ones that are typically happening with my autocorrect. I thank you for your patience, and I pray you will have a blessed week. Shalom.